What was it like then to sit in the theater when you know that it was, Lin's baby, if you will, and then to see it all come together? What does that feel like as a mom?
A dream come true, and it was just amazing how it came together. And my husband was instrumental in making that happen. He was hugely supportive once he was on board.
How important is that?
It always worries me when I see children being torn down by their parents. My thought is always, if your own parents can't really build you up and support you and acknowledge what an amazing individual you are, who's going to do it?
Hi, everyone. I can't wait to introduce you to my new favorite mom. She is successful, hardworking, and has raised 2 kids with an incredible work ethic. Of course, you might have heard of her son, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yes, the man who created and starred in Hamilton and In the Heights. He has Tonys, a Grammy, an Emmy, a Pulitzer Prize, and so much more to come. But today, we chat with Dr. Luz Towns Miranda to find out how it all began. Do you say Lin or do you say Lin-Manuel? What do you call him?
We always call him Lin-Manuel, but I recently realized that he abbreviated it to Lin because it was too much for his classmates to say. When he was little, he would say, "You want to hear my name in English? Lin-Manuel Miranda. You want to hear my name in Spanish? Lin-Manuel Miranda." He had a real clear understanding.
So take me back to those early days. So you were a working mom, your husband was working. How did you do it?
So we both worked at any given time. As my son, you'll hear him say often, I never known that my parents didn't have more than one job. I'm very fortunate in that Luis and I really tag team and shared, depending on what was on our plates at any given time. One or the other of us would assume a more responsibility.
So how did you stay present?
I think we kept our finger on the pulse of everything that was going on. We never missed a parent-teacher meeting. We never missed a play or activity that they were in, a graduation, a show. That was first and foremost on our schedules.
I also think it's been really important that Lin has been very open about the fact that he struggled with anxiety as a kid. And I know he's talked about the fact that there was a childhood friend who tragically passed away, and that affected him deeply. Did you see that as a mom, and how did you support him?
Every night, I would tuck him into bed, and I would ask him what was the best thing that happened in school, what was the worst thing that happened in school. And depending on how he was feeling and if he was having any difficulty falling asleep, I would talk him through some relaxation exercises and breathing exercises to get him to sleep. So I basically tucked him into bed every night. Despite having worked all those jobs, that was one thing I never missed with either of my children.
And tell me about sibling dynamics. What were the 2 of them like growing up?
Well, Lucecita took a while to adjust to him. So much so that a month after he was born, my husband went to take her to school, and the principal asked, "Has your wife had the baby yet?" And my husband said, the baby was born a month ago. He says, "She hasn't said a word about him." But over time, their connection grew. But eventually, Lucecita started sharing her music. I mean, she grew up with the original rap stars, Biggie, Big Pun. He's very grateful to her for having introduced him to that genre.
Clearly, music is innate. It's in your family. Talk about your love of music, and your husband too.
Right. Well, my husband and I both loved soundtracks. So as the children were growing up, we played our favorite records, whether or not we had seen, like I never saw Camelot, but I loved the score. And one of the cardinal rules in our house is our children don't leave until they know how to dance.
That's amazing. I saw this video of Lin, I don't know when it was, and he was dancing.
Yes. Since we were busy often, he basically was free to create whatever he wanted. He was constantly using a video machine or a tape recorder. And he made up a Cabbage Patch song to it. The Cabbage Patch are, and I forget the lyrics, but he basically started composing just, off the head from the time he was very tiny.
When did you know this kid has talent? Like he needs to be on a stage or writing or creating. When did you know?
He must have been in fourth or fifth grade. There was a performance in a church, and from the time he started singing, I swore there was like this aura about him because he embodied every single song. And I remember leaving that church thinking to myself, did anybody else just see the show I saw? Oh my God. It was, to me, that was it. That was the moment where I knew he was amazing.
A lot of people then think that success happened overnight, but obviously then that is not the case. Tell me about the first time that you watched a show on Broadway that your son had created.
The first time I listened to In the Heights in their off-Broadway show, I was just blown away. And they're still, the movie is amazing. Hearing those sounds come through on those big speakers is just amazing.
Taking the flight to a couple of days in the life for what it's like in Washington Heights.
Let me ask you about Hamilton. When you first heard the idea, what were your initial thoughts?
I have to tell you, the first time I saw a run-through of it, I was so bereft by the end of the play that I couldn't speak for half an hour. He had done such an amazing job that he broke my heart that Alexander Hamilton had died young.
Your favorite song that Lin-Manuel has written or composed?
I always cry at Helpless in Hamilton because I just think that wedding scene is just wonderful.
You got me helpless. Look into your eyes in the skies and I'm helpless.
I was looking at the numbers here. Hamilton has now won 11 Tonys, a Grammy, a Pulitzer. Lin has now said, he's had so much success outside of Hamilton. We've talked about In the Heights now being a major motion picture. Do you ever have moments of awe?
My first huge moment of awe was when he got the MacArthur Genius Award. I was like, oh my God! And they've only continued since then. Bringing Hamilton to the White House was very special. And having them sing one last time in front of the Obamas in their last year was just incredibly moving.
He made a promise to you at 13 that he would take you to the Oscars one day.
Well, that was kind of a pact. We were so excited when Whoopi Goldberg at the end of the Oscar said, talk to the kids in the audience, you can be up here one day. And when you go, I'm going to be with you. We're going to be there together. And it wasn't if, when you go. It's like there was this real belief that this was going to happen for him.
What do you hope people get out of seeing his body of work?
That the most important thing is human connection and caring, because that's what he conveys. Whenever he writes about a character, whether it's in song or in narrative, he's trying to convey the humanity of that individual. And he will be sobbing writing songs because he has to embody and live the emotion related to the event in any part of the musical. And it's very painful for him.
What would you say to the mom or dad or parent, aunt, uncle, grandmother, whoever is raising a child, when they feel like they're in the thick of it and things are so busy that it may feel like it's spinning out of control, but they love hard and they're as present as they can be? What would you say?
Well, I often told families struggling with children's issues, since I'm a psychologist, you got to do the best you can now, because if you don't, they won't grow up and leave you. They'll stay with you. You have to support them, because the goal is to get them to be able to be independent, fulfilled adults.
You have been such a delight. If we were in person, I would give you a hug. One day I will meet you and give you a hug. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.